haunted homecoming. I have experienced various terrifying things in my life, but there's one story that still gives me chills. My name is John, and I live with 3 friends in a luxurious apartment in West London. The memory that stands out is about our grandparents in a small village. They often invited me over, but due to my hectic routine, I usually made excuses. Deep down, I wanted to visit, but the bustling city life kept me occupied. It was intense cold because December had just begun. Everywhere, Christmas preparations were in full swing. The cold was so intense that it could freeze bones. During these days, grandparents would insist on meeting through phone calls from the village. It was a good opportunity since it was Christmas vacation, so I didn't refuse this time. Hearing their joy upon agreeing was heartwarming. I returned home early from the party that night because I had to leave early in the morning. The journey from the city to the village was about 7 hours, and I needed plenty of rest. I needed to stay fresh, so I went to bed early. I woke up as soon as the alarm rang. After having breakfast, I caught the train. There wasn't much rush on the train as London City stays awake all night, so there isn't much morning rush. Anyhow, I was approaching the village. After walking a bit on a rough path, I reached my grandparents' house. Everyone gave me a warm welcome. Grandpa's statement puzzled and worried me. He said, "It's good you arrived in the daylight. It's not safe to come here after dark." Well, I chose to ignore that remark. After having dinner, my grandfather allowed me to rest in a room with a window overlooking the fields. The breeze made the trees sway, creating an eerie feeling. Despite my tiredness, sleep eluded me, and as I changed sides, I heard a knock on the window. Initially, I thought it was my imagination, but when the knocking persisted, I opened the window, revealing a horrifying sight. There was a strange woman with long hair and creepy long nails. Her red-stained teeth gave the impression that she had recently consumed someone's blood. Fear gripped me, and I couldn't even close the window. Upon hearing a scream, my grandparents rushed in, and seeing me in distress, they explained that such occurrences were common here. Although it was a routine for them, it turned out to be the most terrifying experience of my life. I had come for a week, but the next morning, I apologized and returned to the city by the morning train. Even now, recalling this incident sends shivers down my spine. Whispers of the past. David was always up for some excitement. He grew up in a small town and loved reading adventure stories. His friends and family knew he was always looking for something interesting to do. Whether it was exploring caves or climbing hills, David was curious about everything. On a misty October evening, David discovered an old mansion at the town's edge. Despite locals' warning of its haunted nature, he couldn't resist exploring. The mansion, with its creaking doors and overgrown vines, loomed ominously. Inside, dusty air and creaky floorboards greeted David. His flashlight flickered in the dim light, casting eerie shadows. Undeterred, he pressed on, the oppressive atmosphere thickening with each step. In the mansion's depths, David stumbled into a grand ballroom. Dusty chandeliers hung above, and a decaying piano sat in the center. Against his better judgment, he touched a key. The piano responded with a haunting melody, played by unseen hands. Panic set in. As the music grew louder, the room plunged into darkness, and the oppressive atmosphere intensified. In the dark, a ghostly figure appeared, its form distorted and chilling. Hollow eyes fixed on David, and an icy touch enveloped him. He tried to scream, but silence prevailed. Suddenly, an otherworldly light illuminated the room, revealing the ghostly figure's tortured soul. David felt the weight of its pain, a sorrow beyond time. As the figure closed in, the world dissolved into darkness, and David's cries faded away. The locals later shared the tale of David, the adventurer who entered the haunted mansion and never returned. The mansion, a silent witness to the supernatural, stood as a foreboding relic, concealing its secrets within. crumbling walls. Its haunted halls awaited the next unsuspecting soul, ready to claim them into the abyss. Mirror of Shadows. Timmy came to stay with his grandparents along with his parents. His grandparents were very old, so Timmy's parents had planned for him to stay with them. Their house was in a place where complete silence prevailed. It was all jungle around. During the day, Timmy often quietly went out to play in the jungle and played with sticks and stones. There was a basement in that house, always kept locked. Timmy's parents had never thought about going in that direction. Perhaps they were too busy in their lives, and they didn't have time to think about such things. One day, while playing, Timmy wandered towards the basement. He made numerous attempts to open the door, but it was securely locked. Exhausted, he decided to leave, but curiosity got the better of him. Entering his room, Timmy soon drifted into sleep. In his dream, he found himself inside the basement, surrounded by his grandfather's old belongings. Among the ancient items, Timmy noticed a glimmer. When he picked it up, it turned out to be an exceptionally old mirror, reflecting an eerie light, as if it were brand new. Suddenly, Timmy felt a strange sensation as his reflection in the mirror began to double in size. The room echoed with his grandfather's haunting laughter, and the surroundings transformed into a chilling scene. Overwhelmed with fear, Timmy dropped the mirror, shattering it into pieces. As he awoke, the remnants of the terrifying dream lingered. Trembling, he rushed to his parents' room, seeking solace from the haunting images that had invaded his sleep. The next morning, Timmy had seemingly forgotten the dream, but a persistent curiosity drew him back to the basement. After a forceful push, the door creaked open, revealing a staircase leading downward. As he descended, a sudden burst of bright light greeted him, capturing his attention. In the midst of the radiance, he discovered a peculiar mirror. As he picked it up, his reflection doubled once again. Laughter echoed around him, sending shivers down his spine. Gripping the mirror tightly, Timmy fled in terror as the laughter seemed to follow. The shattered mirror from his dream and the uncanny experience left him too frightened to venture toward the basement ever again. The boundary between dreams and reality had blurred, leaving Timmy haunted by the chilling events of that day.